Osetkowski buries the three, and the Longhorns lead 88-86. It was his biggest single shot in the basketball game as was executed last night. The man who executed is with us now. Dylan Osetkowski joining us here on Longhorn Weekly. Shaka, first of all, take us through that play, what you saw as it evolved, and then Dio with the shot.
Well, Eric, really had a great offensive game and made some big shots, but I think he didn't make any play that was bigger than that pass to Dylan because he drove, he was able to draw defense, and then under control, kicked it out to Dio. We're always encouraging this young man here to just let him fly. And he did a great job catching in rhythm, shooting his shot in. It's great, Craig, because you saw us last year work on thousands and thousands of shots in the Irwin Center on game days, and it's good. It's great to see that type of work pay off with a shot like that.
What Shaka doesn't say about that is that a lot of times that will come after shoot around, and Shaka stays on the floor, and he was with you a lot last year. After shoot-around was done, teams upstairs, the team that was going to play that night, eating, and you guys are working and working and working. And he told me that after going into the Iowa State game, or after the Iowa State game, he said, remember all those shots we did? I mean, that was what that for. He said you were kind of in disbelief even then. You made 7 threes that night. So is it becoming a little more comfortable to you to put up more threes and to take more shots?
Like Coach always says, they're encouraging me, the staff, players, just not be hesitant, shoot when I'm open, be confident. And, like you said, I think I shot a total of 13 or 14 threes that game. I never thought I would shoot that many, let alone make 7. So that just goes to show myself, I'm capable of it, and I just got to keep shooting with confidence.
How much of a mental adjustment is that for you, a guy who was not accustomed to shooting that many, especially that many shots from that range, to get comfortable in your mind to be able to execute? As I hear Shaka talk about it all the time, you got to have all that confidence and that comfort level in a rhythm to be able to pull the trigger that many times from that range.
I think with that mindset and that confidence, a lot of it came from last year, like you said, with those workouts. A lot of late nights in the gym with managers, guys like Joey Pinavera, who's sitting right here. A little shout out to my guy. But a lot of late nights in the gym, a lot of workouts with Coach, just constant repetition, shots. It was just a lot of reps.
Shaka, it's one thing for a coach to tell the guys, pull the trigger, shoot it. If you're open, shoot it. It's another thing for them to accept it, going all into the buy-in concept and everything. Is that one of the more challenging things for coaches, to get guys who aren't as accustomed to shooting from that range that often to get comfortable as well as confident to be able to do that?
It is, and every player is different. Some guys, they grow up being guys that shoot the ball every single time, and everything kind of revolves around them. So, sometimes you got to get those guys to shoot less and share the ball more. Dylan has always been an unselfish guy. He's also always been a perfectionist, at least ever since, I've known him. So one of the things we did in the workouts last year is we would try to set the bar very, very high in terms of the number of shots he had to make out of 10, for instance. And when he didn't reach that bar, he would get very frustrated sometimes. So a lot of times going into the workouts, we would say, okay, our number one goal is we're going to try to go through this whole workout with no frustration. And he got better and better at that. We would do a drill we would call crazy eights, and he'd have to make 8 out of 10. And
anywhere on the floor?
Well, it'd be threes. Okay. It'd be threes. It would be different. It might be jump hooks. It might be different, but a lot of threes. And he might make 7. Or he may be 7 for 9 and miss the last one, and he would be so upset with himself. Sometimes he'd punt the ball. But we really worked on just being able to respond and focus on what's next, and he got better and better at that.
70% is not shabby. That's a pretty good
percent. But think about it. You're doing that drill over and over. Once you get to that 9th rep, you can't make that last shot. It's tough.
That's a good point. What did you expect of yourself when you came into the program? What did you hope to contribute? What did you think you could offer? And how did that evolve from the time you arrived on campus to where we all are right now?
I think everything you're seeing right now, playmaking, leadership, threes, defense, everything. I think the year off was just however long that time was, it was just an opportunity to elevate each skill set, each thing, and really focus on just being the best player that I was able to be. And I think day in and day out, regardless of whether my mindset was there last year, it was tough. But I think the coach, especially Coach Smart, did a great job in just constantly reminding me, constantly making sure, like, this is all for next year. Keep putting in a deposit in that you can take out next year when you're playing. Conversely,
Shaka, what did you expect from Dylan? What did you think you'd be able to, and how that has evolved over these 2 years?
Well, one of the things we did when we were recruiting him is we called all the coaches in the conference that he came from, the American Athletic Conference, and we asked them their thoughts. And to a man, they were all just effusive with their praise of Dylan. And that's one of the things that really made us understand, hey, we got to get this guy in our program. As you know, last year he played all year against Jarrett Allen in practice. And when he was playing so well against Jarrett, that really let us know, hey, this guy has a chance to do something really, really special when he gets eligible. And one of the things, Dylan can talk about this, that's extremely challenging, even though he chose to transfer. Eli Long chose to transfer. But one thing that's really, really hard is going, it's, I think, 400 and some days without getting a chance to play in a basketball game. So he played in the orange and white game last year, had a really good game, double-double. But then it hit him that he knew he was going to have to go the whole season plus the whole next off season until he was able to play a real game.
How difficult was that to come to terms with that, even knowing the rules going in and knowing what you're going to do, once the reality set in of having to sit there and watch your teammates play, knowing you could help them but couldn't because by the rule you had to sit out the transfer year? How difficult was that to deal with?
It was tough. Going into it, you obviously expect, you're not going to play. It'll be tough. Got to stay strong mentally, but you don't really know until you're actually going through it what it's like. After that orange and white game last year, I think I hit a stretch a month. Coach Smart likes to say 2 to 3 months, where my mind was just, he said no?
No, I think it was a couple weeks. What did I say to you?
A lot of things. A lot of things. Stay with it.
I also told him, and this is where you got to be a big boy, and it's hard because these guys are still young kids. Dylan was very young for his grade coming into college. I told him, you chose to do this, man, so grow up, and accept it and understand. And at the same time, we were supportive of him.
But you also knew he could accept that in the way that you're delivering the spirit that you wanted him to take it by saying that.
I knew that he could. It did take a level of maturity on his part because it's hard when you're a competitor, when you want to play, and you don't get the opportunity, and you can help. Obviously, last year was a challenging year, and he knew if you inserted him into that team, it would have made a huge difference. But like you said, the rules are like gravity. I mean, you can't fight them. And so, it was what it was.
And to get back to what you were saying, I mean, it was difficult. You said it took some time for you to be more comfortable with the accepting of it, I guess.
Yeah. Once that stretch kind of faded away, it was just a constant mindset of, taking a step back and realizing why you're doing this, why you're going through these tough times while the team is out. Playing an away game, you're either in your dorm room watching the game by yourself or trying to get with managers in the gym to shoot while the game is going on or to watch the game with them, just anything to get your mind off of not being able to play. So being in that position, it was, really extremely tough, but it gave me the opportunity to, one, go through that and now kind of be there for a guy like Elijah Long who's doing that and kind of help him get through that. Get better each and every day. He's doing a terrific job. But it's something you won't fully understand until you go through it. But I wouldn't be the player I am right now if I wouldn't have that opportunity to sit out and just get better each and every day.
Shaka, he brought up Elijah, and for folks who don't know, Elijah Long, who is transferring, going through the same thing Dylan did last year, younger brother. You may remember Naz Mitra Long of Iowa State. It's his younger brother, and I watch him. I watch you do the same things this year. I was watching it yesterday that you did with Dylan last year after shoot around and after practices, working with a guy like that. having gone through it, and you've gone through it before with other players, but having gone through it just last year with Dylan, does it make it any easier for you to be able to get your message across to Eli, and you having gone through it, like you said, Dio, to be able to share that experience with him?
I think it's helpful for Eli to see what Dylan is doing now, because obviously there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And when it's early in the season, and particularly this break of school is hard when you're transferring, because as Dylan mentioned, when the team goes away, you're literally here on campus all by yourself. And as you know, we were at Iowa State. It was New Year's Eve, the night before we played, and there's Eli, in his dorm room, and there's literally no one here. So those are tough things. But at the same time, the next day he watched the game and he saw Dylan score 25 points, and he's got to be able to believe, hey, if I continue working, keep getting better, I can put myself in position to play a really big role for the team next year like Dylan is now.
Yeah, and like you said, you're able to kind of have that shared experience with him.
Yeah, and to piggyback off what Coach said, that's been my message to him. Just to stay with it mentally, I told him I was in the same place he was, struggling through it, but just got in the mindset of, let me get through this, let me get better through this, and doing what I was able to do now. That was what was in my mind all last year. I'm gonna go in a game and give everything I can have, put up 30 points, 10 rebounds, just do whatever I can to get myself in that mindset back in the time. So I'm telling him the same thing. And like I said, he's doing a great job at it.
And Craig, the biggest thing I try to remind Dylan of now is that, hey, man, you sat out all that time, and you desperately wanted to play, and now you get to play. You get the opportunity to go attack. And when Dylan is at his best, he's aggressive, confident, and loose. When he struggles a little bit, sometimes he gets hesitant or reluctant a little bit. So I just try to remind him, hey, go after the opportunity just like you knew you wanted to go do last year, because now you have the opportunity, and he's doing a great job of that.
We'll continue our opportunity to visit Dylan Osetkowski as we continue here from Pluckers, the West Campus location, with Longhorn Weekly. Shaka Spark continues in a moment. Back here on Longhorn Weekly, our special guest during this portion of the program, Dylan Osetkowski, in our guest segment each week, presented by ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. We just heard that with Jericho, and he's another one of the post guys who's really developing as well. And I know, Dylan, that probably makes you feel good to see a freshman be able to step in and have the game like he had last night.
Very much so. I told him after the game he had some big shoes to fill, playing 41 minutes. I don't think I ever played 41 minutes as a freshman, and I told him he did a hell of a job. And just to be able to play with the aggressiveness and passion that he did was tremendous to see him do.
How difficult, we know what the team was going through mentally, and we can get back to that in a minute, but let me talk about the stamina thing, because you were shorthanded. Mm-hmm. 7 guys played last night, basically, and you were all playing elevated minutes. We were joking with Matt after the game. I said, "You played 49 minutes. How you feeling?" He goes, "Man, I'm tired." He said, "I'm ready to hydrate and get some sleep." That sort of thing. I bet you all were feeling that afterwards. But how much of that goes into your mind, understanding everybody's going to have elevated minutes, and you're going to be playing longer stretches?
I think last night, given the circumstances, granted, guys were exhausted after the game. I didn't think it could have taken 50 minutes, 55 minutes to come out of that game with the win, but regardless of how long it took, we wanted to come out of that with the win. And after the game, I think, taking a step back, I think we all realized, geez, we're all pretty tired.
Coach brought it up. It had some great words about having to deliver the news to you guys about Andrew. What I'm wanting to hear from you is, how did you and the team, the response when you got the news first on night before last, when you got the news, what did you say to each other to pick each other up, as well as the single-minded goal of doing whatever you could for Andrew and his family, and then at the same time go out and play a basketball game?
Yeah, so when Coach told us, obviously everybody was just devastated to see one of our brothers we see day in and day out go through something like that. Our message as a team was, every guy was just feeling for each other. Every guy, got out of that meeting just saying I love you, saying we're here for you. And we knew that Drew is fighting his own fight right now, and we had our own fight to fight last night. So with that being said, we wanted to go out there and play for Drew. Coach always talks about a why. Why are you trying to play basketball? Why are you doing this? And our why last night was, it was a collective why. And I think we did a great job of just being together for the whole 50 minutes of the game. They made runs throughout the game, but just the togetherness that we showed was great.
You've had an interesting background. Just tell everybody a little bit about the path you've taken. I think we all walk a unique path. Yours unique certainly applies as well, and I don't think everybody knows about how you went the route to go the routes you did to wind up here.
A windy route, to say the least.
Yeah.
A windy route. I don't know the exact total, but a lot of different schooling. Parents are always trying to find. I know my mom and dad are watching, my whole family at home, so hello everybody at home.
Here you go.
Was just trying to find the best school for me. Wanted to stay close to my brother, so I actually went to high school with my brother my freshman and sophomore year. He then went to Columbia to play basketball and baseball.
Now, in high school, that was?
That was in San Diego.
In San Diego.
Canyon Crest Academy. And
so your brother goes to Columbia?
Goes to Columbia. My dad ends up getting transferred up to Orange County, kind of southern LA area. So junior and senior year go to J. Sarah Catholic High School. There for 2 years. Obviously then finally get a scholarship offer from Tulane. At that point was just eager to get to somewhere.
How many schools offered you?
I like to say two. But when I told UC Irvine that it wasn't my best fit, quickly took that one off the table.
They were like, okay.
Yep. So Tulane was a strong one offer.
Okay.
And went to Tulane. Just going to Tulane was kind of one thing. I was there to play basketball. Didn't know much about the school. The stepping stone that it gave me was tremendous. I enjoyed my time there.
New Orleans a little different than Orange County too.
Very different, not a little different, very different. Very different. Weather, people, experience. It was a great 2 years for me. And past my sophomore season, the opportunity presented itself to me to transfer in. That's when I got a call from Coach Morrell first, and Texas presented itself to me, and it was from there the best decision I could have made.
I always close with our student athletes asking, what do you like best about being a student athlete at UT?
There's a lot of things. I think the biggest thing is just being a part of the Longhorn family. From right now, guys who have been here, guys who are on the way. Kevin Durant actually came by and made a heck of a donation to our program a while back, or a few days ago, and I've been texting with him a lot. And just the term family that comes from this university is one that doesn't go with who you're here with right now, but they say Longhorn for life, and you can really feel that.
Great to see you, Dio. Thanks for last night, and thanks for coming by today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Dylan Osetkowski with us. Shaka Smart rejoins us when Longhorn Weekly with Shaka Smart continues here from Pluckers, the West Campus location on the Longhorn Network and the Longhorn IMG Radio Network.